People, it's me, Kinghuman, and I want to continue to have this discussion we've been having over the past couple of weeks about success and what it really takes to be a success in life. Now, in this video, again, first of all, you should hopefully have seen the previous two videos I made on this. If not, you can click right there, go watch them, and then come back and watch this. If you go watch them, this video will stop, and then you can watch this video, and it'll make more sense because you'll have more context. So again, in this video, I want to talk to you as if you were my buddy and we were just sitting down to lunch, and I want to tell you my thoughts, and you can agree, disagree, whatever. But this is coming from a guy who broke out of the matrix. I broke out of the idiot bubble. I got out of the programming that I was in that kept me down, that kept me a lowly worker, a lowly drone. And now that I'm out of it, and I can see my perspective has changed drastically, and now I can look into the system from the outside in, and now I recognize so much more of the manipulation that was put on me and that's put on all of us from birth. In the previous videos, I talked about certain social programming institutions that are set up to keep us down, like the educational system, for instance. And just to touch on this again for a little bit, okay, the educational system now programs us to be mindless little robots so that we can service the industrial corporate complex. Now, this all came about during the Industrial Revolution, right? Back in the days before the Industrial Revolution, when you got an education, it would be getting an education in things like animal husbandry, beekeeping, how to raise crops, and you would learn that. You would go out, grab a piece of land, and you would be independent. You would be your own man. But then the Industrial Revolution came, and with it, a lot of changes, including the fact that when the Industrial Revolution hit, the powers that be, the people in power recognized, you know what, now that we've got machines to do all this work, the other thing we're going to need to do to really make this function is have a base of workers. So we need to program people not to be independent. We need to program people to be dependent so that they go out and get a job working in our factories. And that's when the change started to happen. Now, think of it this way. I want you to think of the societal programming and the societal matrix like a pyramid, right? At the top, at the very pinnacle of this power pyramid, you have the plutocrats, like the Koch brothers, who really run the world. You know, these money runs the world. The Koch brothers actually own government. And government is who sets the mandates for what will be taught in schools. So you go to school based on what the plutocrats want you to learn. And the plutocrats want you to learn how to be a good little battery in the matrix, not how to be independent. Because if you think about it, okay, the plutocrats being at the top of the pyramid, they don't want people to question their strata in this pyramid and try to start climbing it. Because look at what happens to a pyramid. First of all, a pyramid has a huge amount of mass, so it needs a huge base. And that's what they're programming people to be, a base for this pyramid. You know, maybe if you go to college, you can move up one strata and become like a brain surgeon or something. But they don't want people to really achieve independence because that's a threat to them at their position. If you think about that pyramid and all of a sudden everybody wakes up from their stupor and says, you know what? I don't have to be a shitty employee for minimum wage. I can make my own way in the world. I've got the computer, I've got the internet. I can be in business for myself. And not only can I be in business for myself, but I could be incredibly successful. I could make millions of dollars. If everybody started doing that, the base of that pyramid would start shrinking as people moved up the pyramid structure. The top would start getting fatter and the base would start shrinking, and that becomes unstable and the whole system topples. That's why the programming is set up the way it is by the plutocrats. They want to keep people down. So you're being programmed. You may not even realize it, but you're being programmed from birth. In the previous videos, I talked about the institutions that program you to help to keep you down. I want to shake you and wake you up so that you realize that you don't have to accept this programming that you're being hit with all the time. You're being manipulated and monetized on a mass level. And you need to wake up. You need to fight the powers and put yourself on the throne. It's not easy to do. It really isn't. And I personally am still on my journey to even more success than I've achieved. You know, I used to be an idiot truck driver. I used to be a programmed idiot, just like everybody. I broke out and I make huge amounts of money now compared to what I made before because I rejected the programming. I recognized it for what it was and I said, no, there's a better way to live. There's a better thing out there for me. Now let's talk about a different institution that programs you and puts you to sleep. Now, before I get into it, I need you to open your mind. I need you to really be objective and open-minded about this. Because if you want to be a success, you have to not be defensive all the time. You have to understand. You're going to have to take inventory of your own psychology, right? Now, before we get into this, I want you to understand one thing. Your mind, basically, has two parts to it. The emotional, reactionary side and the logical reasoning side. Now, a lot of times, those two parts of your brain are in conflict. And they're always struggling whenever they come across something that is controversial, something that makes them think, something that goes against the programming that they've had all of their life. In other words, if you've been programmed to believe a certain thing in life is true all of your life, and then somebody presents an argument that deep down inside, subconsciously, logically, you realize that's the real truth. You start having this schism in your head and it manifests itself in defensive postures to the point where you will attack the source of that information because it hurts you. It makes you question your core belief system, the thing that you believed all your life. And now somebody's put something together that is making you say, hey, wait a minute, what I believed all my life isn't true? And the thing that people need most of all these days, or the thing that people cling to most of all these days, is they have to be right. You know, very rare is it when I see two people having a debate about something, and at the end of the debate, one of them says, you know what, you're right, you convinced me. It does not happen. Why is that? Because you've been programmed not to give up, not to question your core belief system. Now, this will become evident in this next societal programming structure I want to talk about. Again, you're going to have to open up your mind. You're going to have to give up your defenses if you can do that. Because this one is really insidious and it really has programmed you from birth. And it's such strong programming that I doubt many of you are willing to examine it and see it for what it really is. And what I'm talking about is religion. Think about religion objectively for a minute before you start going apeshit on me. Open your mind and let me make my points. Because right now you're already getting defensive. Your emotional mind is overriding your logical reason. That's because you're emotionally invested in these concepts that this programmed institution, this programming institution, has stuffed into you all of your life, since birth. Let's examine it. Okay, look at religion. I mean, the first thing the Bible says in, what is it, Genesis or whatever, it says to Adam and Eve, do not eat the apple from the tree of knowledge. So right there, they're telling you, we want to program you and keep you stupid and unquestioning. So don't seek out knowledge. Just take what we feed you and accept it as a truth. Now, the other thing that's insidious about religion is it teaches you, do not question what we feed you. If you question religion, now you're labeled and you're immediately hit with a shame dynamic. You're cast as a heretic, a blasphemer, whatever. There's an immediate shame dynamic put on you if you question it. Now, anything, any learning, any situation that you cannot question should raise red flags right off the bat. It's just simple logic. But again, you've been programmed to believe your emotional brain and not your logical reasoning brain. Now, the other reason religion works so well on you is because of the promises it gives you. It's telling you, look, we know your life is shit. We know you've got a shitty job. We know you're working paycheck to paycheck. We know you're not happy. But here's the thing. All you have to do is invest your emotional belief system into our system and belief in a supreme being, and we will give you this great thing called an afterlife. So you don't have to strive hard in this life. We know you're beaten down. We know you've given up on success in this life. So we will give you this afterlife. All you have to do is believe what we tell you, and we're going to tell you to believe in this supreme being. And it also fills a lot of gaps in people's minds. You know, people cannot stand a vacuum. If they don't understand something scientifically, this supreme being answers everything, and it doesn't require any thought. So it fills a lot of needs for a lot of people. So people are incredibly emotionally invested into this thing called religion. But here's the thing. Religion is designed. Religion is a business. It's the biggest business in the world. No, you don't want to hear this, but it's true. I mean, religion has manipulated and monetized more people in the world than anything else. Don't believe me? I mean, go Google search church wealth, okay? I mean, look at the Pope. The Pope sits on a throne, a golden throne, holding a golden cross. And he sits in it saying, hey, let's pray for the suffering, starving children of the world, while he's sitting on a golden throne and holding a golden cross. He's sitting in the incredible amounts of wealth. Now, the Vatican is its own country. They have their own banks. The amount of wealth that the church has is staggering. You don't even know how much. It's huge. And at the same time, they're telling people, don't question your life. Don't strive for anything better. Seek poverty. To get into heaven, you have to be, God wants people to be poor. It is easier for a rich man to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get into heaven. All while they're sitting on this golden throne with their banks and their art treasures and all this. And nobody sees the hypocrisy of that. Now, where do you think all of this wealth comes from? Do you think it magically rains down from the heavens? No, they get it from the masses, the people that they have programmed to give them money. It's just one institution that teaches you to sleep, and they do it so that they can monetize you in more ways than one. Now, if you want to be a success in life, you have to wake up, you have to empower yourself, and stop giving your power to these outside authority situations like religion and education and whatever it is. You have to empower yourself. You have to wake up, you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to say, wow, I now understand, I can now see the way I'm being taken advantage of. And you know what? I'm tired of it. I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I'm going to empower myself, and I'm going to strive for my own success, whatever that may be for you. I'm not going to look at it through outside influences. I'm not going to emotionally invest in things like religion or this educational system that's going to teach me a trade, and I'm going to learn how to be a welder or whatever, a teacher, whatever. I'm going to learn that, and that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I'm not going to strive to be a millionaire, multi-millionaire. I'm not going to strive to live the high life. I'm going to do what the society wants me to be. I'm going to be a good little worker ant in the ant farm. Without question, without reasoning, I'm going to let my emotional side of my brain win over my logical reasoning side of my brain, and just accept the programming that's being thrown at me on a daily basis. I'm going to go to work in that factory, and at the end of the day, I'm going to go to the bar and talk about football with my buddies. And, you know, I got to get into that in a whole nother video, because that's another thing that keeps you guys down. You're going to hate to hear this stuff, but you know what? Growth is pain, and pain is growth. If you're getting angry right now, and if you're objecting to what I'm saying, that's good, because it shows you're having an emotional, you're having an inner turmoil. You know, oh, Kinghuman's talking about religion, he's full of shit, I can't hear it, la 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 la. It's because those two halves of your brain are fighting with each other. And you know what? Subconsciously, your logical reasoning is saying, you know what? Kinghuman makes a lot of sense. But the emotional side of your brain, which usually wins out, is saying, oh no, we've believed this all our life. We cannot question it. We have to stick to what we've been fed all of our life, because if I have to question my whole belief system up to now, what do? I got to start over? And that's what's causing the schism. And like I say, usually when these two halves of your brain go at war with each other, you tend to externalize the anger, and it comes out in misplaced aggression, and you attack the messenger. So that's why people get into heated debates about things like religion, and they can't talk in a civilized manner if there's a difference of opinion. Pretty soon you're going to see somebody go absolutely apeshit, because they're emotionally invested in this, and they have to be right. Anyway, I hope I've given you something to think about. I hope I've planted just a tiny little seed that might take root and grow within you. Because if it does, you're going to start seeing things for what they really are. You're going to wake up, and it's going to put you on the path to your success. You're going to have to empower yourself. That's what it comes down to. All right, guys. Anyway, if I piss you off, too bad. If I didn't, and you got behind what I'm saying, cool. I really want to help you guys. You know, this is my philosophy. And I would suggest you go read some books on philosophy and psychology. And that'll start get you thinking. Instead of watching football or basketball or shit that does nothing to advance you, to elevate you in life, to help you with your success in life, stop watching that shit. Pick up a book and read a book about philosophy. Nietzsche. Look, there's a start right there. Look it up. Read some. Take some in. You know, take a little bit of a vacation from football and basketball. you realize you're worshiping these idiots. You're investing your emotional side of your brain into idiots that do nothing to help you in life. It's an entertainment. Yes, it's fun to be entertained, but if you want to get ahead in life, you have to see this shit for what it really is, a distraction. It's been given to you to keep you complacent, compliant, and I'll get into it again in a whole nother video, because it really, that's another insidious institution that keeps you guys asleep. As long as they can keep you happy with these idiotic entertainments, you will not strive to improve your situation in life. All right, guys, maximum respect. Listen, go help a sick kid at St. Jude's Research Hospital for Kids. They help sick kids. They share their research with other hospitals. What could be better? All right, we'll get into this more later, but wake up, people. Wake up!